Hello. So, Bridget Philipson, can't stand her. There we go. It's out there. Just can't stand her. Cannot see any good coming from her tenure as Education Secretary. Can see untold bad coming after her tenure as Education Secretary, but good, none whatsoever. And you know what? She gets the snot when anyone goes up against her. She absolutely can't stand it. Now, is that because of the unresolved trauma that we've talked about in her childhood, or is that because she's just so unbearingly arrogant and incapable of seeing the danger that she's doing and causing to tens of thousands of children across the UK that she would rather just get angry and deflect it, project it straight back to you? It's kind of all of the above. Oh, thank you for liking and subscribing. Please keep doing that. And do you know what? Share. The biggest thing you can do, so many people send me private messages saying, thank you so much for talking about this stuff. We can't do anything because of our positions, blah, 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 blah. And I get that. A lot of people don't like to go, again, put their head above the parapet. But what you can do is share these videos, because it's my voice, it's not your voice, and it's getting the word out there. There are so many people that don't know the damage this woman is doing. And then when you explain it, talk about it, and they go away and do their own research, because it's really important you do your own research. Don't just take my word for this. Don't just listen to me. Go and do a little bit of Google, and it's all there for the taking. And then people go, wow, I had no idea that this was happening. And it's like, yep, there you go. It is happening. And it's happening at the behest of somebody who is supposed to be the Education Secretary. She claims she cares for all children, but her definition of all is the 94% in state school, and it's not even them. It's not even that 94%. It's actually not children that Bridget Philipson cares about. It's her own political ideology, and it's her own future career. So in the latest tweet, she says, politics is about choices. When the Tories and Reform tell you that Labour's choice to lift 100,000 children out of poverty is wrong, remember what their priority is. Cutting state school budgets to restore private schools' tax breaks. Only Labour is on your side. Okay. The Tories and Reform never, ever said lifting children out of poverty was wrong. Ever. So that is a lie. What they said, Bridget, was that you were wrong. Not lifting children out of poverty. So don't try and spin that, because you look cheap, you look pathetic, and you look like you're pissed off that somebody has shown you up for what you are. You then go on to saying cutting state school budgets to restore private school tax breaks. It's a lie. There were never any tax breaks on independent education, and I don't know how many times I need to say this to get this through your head, and I know you don't accept anything. This is your common answer. I don't accept that. Well, the reality is, Bridget, that is universally accepted, education is not and has not been taxed. After Greece, you are the first person to do it. So regardless of what anybody watching this might think right now, whether you think VAT should be added onto education or not, the premise that Bridget is telling you that private schools have been enjoying a tax break, that is wrong. It is factually incorrect. So you can agree with her putting VAT on education. That's up to you. I can't change your mind on that. But if you Google, has education ever been taxed? The answer is a big, fat, resounding no. It was tried in Greece and it was reversed because of the untold damage it did to the entire economy, the education system, and those little things called kids, which we all seem to be glossing over. So, Bridget, that's wrong. Let me then also bring you back to cutting state school budgets to restore private school tax breaks. Well, let's look at cutting state school budgets. In 2025 to 2026, the cost in schooling is to rise by 3.5%. So it's going to cost 3.5% more to run schools. But the budgets that Labour, Bridget Philipson, are giving those schools is 2.2%. That is the lowest level in 15 years. So again, one of the things I often get is, well, what have you been doing for the past 14 years? So the premise behind that is you can't have a go at Labour because for the last 14 years, the Tories killed the government. And why weren't you having a go at the Tories? Well, go back on the CV, go and have a look at what I used to do in my old job, and you'll see that that's, first of all, incorrect. And then, just because somebody isn't vocalising how they feel about a government does not mean they're not doing anything in the background. And also, what were you doing in the past 14 years? What were you doing? You make an assumption that I agreed with everything that the Tories did. It's an assumption, it's egg on your face. Okay, that's what you want to think because it fits your narrative. The truth is a long way away from that. But the facts, the figures that cannot lie is that these budget cuts are the worst in 15 years. Now, 14 years of that, 14 years ago, that was the Tories. They never cut the education budget as much as this, ever. So Bridget's lying because she wants a cheap win. She wants you all to think that the independent sector is bad. Those rich, privileged people with their absorbing shoulders and their embossed paper and AstroTurf, they are nasty, bad people. What she doesn't want you to know is that a massive percentage of those have been let down by the state system, which she's saying we should all be in. She's saying all of our kids should be in the state system, whilst with the other hand saying the state system is broken. It's the favourite phrase, pick a lane. Would you want to put your child, Bridget, in a system that's broken? No, you wouldn't, which is why you've chosen to buy a house in the catchment area of an extremely good school. Your children are not being affected by your policies, but mine are and theirs are. And the 54,000 children that are leaving the independent sector to go in the state sector, which is knackered by your own admission, underfunded by your own actions, you think it's all right to play experiment with those 54,000 kids. And then let's have a look at those actual little people. Those actual little kids. So somebody today told me a story of when Carter's school was told it was going to close. The children, the 6-year-olds, were so upset they turned around and hugged their friends when they were crying because they were going to lose their everything. Because when you're 6, your school is an extension of your home. It is where you are safe. It is where you are secure. It is where you have relationships with your teachers, with your friends, with their families. It is your community. And when somebody wantonly takes your community away for an experiment, then it's funny that the parents get cross. Isn't it, Bridget? But they're not allowed to be cross. They're private school lobbyists. Well, I tell you what you are, Bridget. You are a Labour Party lobbyist. You are an anti-private school lobbyist. You are a state school lobbyist. You are a lobbyist as well. You can't have it both ways. You cannot use it as a disparaging term against one group of people who are just parents. They're just angry that you are taking their children's education away from them, which is not going to raise any money. It is not going to put any money into state. It is not going to give the 6,500 teachers, none of which, by the way, are going into primary schools, but you didn't say that in your manifesto, did you? No, you lied. None of that money is going into the state system because it's not raising any money. But you're just glossing over that by saying, I do not accept that with the figures. Well, I tell you what, if we just lined all the pairs of shoes up of all the children that have moved, it would go from your house in London to your house in Houghton in the What's-It and one of your million houses. It would go there. It would show you how many kids have actually moved. Would you accept that? Would you accept those children actually saying it to you? Would you accept it if they were all outside your offices saying you made us move because you put VAT on education? How could you ignore that then? But you just sit there, I do not accept that, and you turn your head, you turn away to the other side when you are wantonly destroying 2 education sectors. Not just the independent sector, you are destroying the state sector because you are applying pressure after pressure after pressure. And the easy thing to do, lots of people say to me, well, what would you do? Well, go back about 50 videos and you'd see exactly what I would do. I've spelt it out. But the easy thing to do, Bridget, would be looking at other ways that would actually raise money to invest in the state system. You haven't asked the state parents to invest in the state system, I notice. You've asked a minority of 600,000 families to invest in the state system. 600,000 families that don't use the state system and save the state system millions of pounds every year. You've asked them to go a little bit further. But what have you asked the parents in the state system to do? Huh? Nothing. I tell you what you've done. You've given them double breakfast that they don't want. You've expanded free school meals, which means that children won't get free school meals. You've closed the budget on free school meals so that schools can't actually provide them. You want to be seen as the saviour of state. You want to be seen as that woman that closed those nasty, horrible private schools, those horrible, disgusting rich people that want to do the best thing for their children. Be gone with them. You've gone back into the pantomime witch. What you have done is vandalise two education systems, and you have the gall to turn around and say that what the Conservatives are saying and Reform is a barefaced lie. You have the gall to turn around and have a pop at them and say that they want to keep, that it's wrong to bring children out of poverty when your own actions will see more children go into it. You need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. You need to have a look in the mirror. You need to do a little bit of self-reflection, Bridget, because you are responsible for the unhappiness, the emotional distress, the mental health of 54,000 children minimum leaving the independent sector and going into the state sector. And as I've always said, you can double that because you look at the impact on the kids that are in the state sector. You look at what this is doing to them. It is not positive. So if I were you, love, I'd go back to the drawing board and I wouldn't be doing any more of the tweets until you'd fact check them. Grok will do it for you for free. If not, go on AI. It doesn't take long. But anyone, whether you've got skin in the game or not with education, do you think this is the moral integrity, the moral value of the government leading this country? Are you happy with that? Because I am not. You have got the morals of a dead fly. And right now, it is time to wake up and shake it up. That's a good tagline. You can have it. It's better than Faster and Furious and all the other rubbish that you talk about. It's better than I Am Determined. You need to wake up and you need to shake up. And you can have that on me.